I want to talk a little bit today about good writing. If you saw a lot of the texts that came through the Writing Center and spoke with a lot of students, you would think that the concept of what's required to make good writing was a bit narrow. Oftentimes feedback is pointing towards grammar, or maybe the structure of an argument, or things that don't make sense, or how good the referencing is, or something like that. But this doesn't really encapsulate what's required to make good writing. If we expand our view just a bit, which is something we often try to talk to students about, a lot of possibilities open up. What's required to make a good text? Not only do we need to read and understand and analyze other articles and then put them into words that are tailored for our audience, but there are these other things that are really important. So a lot of students will rush the process and they'll procrastinate. It's just a fact. A lot of instructors, a lot of writers around the world all procrastinate. But oftentimes that procrastination doesn't speak to laziness. It speaks to confusion about expectations. It speaks to fear of judgment. Or more importantly, it speaks to a real lack of understanding of a process that's going to be effective for the writer. So because you're trying to delay it, it means that you're really not enjoying it that much, and you don't have a lot of confidence that what you're doing is going to help fix the text. If you like to wait until the last minute thinking that the adrenaline and the stress is going to focus and improve your ideas, I think you're wrong. I think there's probably a better way to do it. Let's imagine if you take all this work that's required and you spread it out over time, you're gradually forming ideas and improving them. You're meeting your own deadlines, you're working in a kind of more rational and disciplined way. It's not such a beast of burden that you have to try and tame. So if you can take the final deadline, move it a couple days back, and so you have your own final deadline that gives you time to proofread, and then move a week or two back from that and say you want a draft that's about half the length, and then a week back from that if you have the time and say you want to construct an outline and annotate a certain number of articles. This can divide the work up. It can give you time to develop your ideas. It can stop you from rushing at the last minute. And this is what fixes procrastination, I think, more than anything else, taking away the fear and anxiety and uncertainty of a writing process that ends up being rushed and packed at the end. So we see a lot of texts where the feedback says, you don't understand grammar. But in fact, the student has submitted a half-finished draft that isn't fully developed and didn't give it time to proofread. There's another aspect that I think is important that we talk about a lot. When is your brain working at optimal levels? For me, it's in the morning. For some people, it's at night, maybe the middle of the day. Now, it took me a long time to understand this, but I would get up in the morning, let's say if I had to write a paper, and I would do a bunch of reading. But in the morning, my brain's really fresh. So that means when I'm trying to do a task that is more or less the mundane part of gathering information and trying to jot down my thoughts about it, I should have been really trying to plan more complicated things and connecting ideas and making good use of my brain when it's really working well. And then later in the day at night, when my brain isn't so efficient and effective, I was trying to do the big activities and connect these ideas and do some writing. This was a terrible idea because it made the end part really frustrating, and the easy part, I felt like my brain was kind of over-engineered and I just wasn't the best way to plan my day. So by trying to figure out how you work best, the conditions that you need, when to take a walk, when you're going to eat, having these larger healthy life habits have a huge impact on the quality of your text in the end. We don't think about it, but in general, keeping your brain active and being healthy has an impact in the quality of your writing. If you want to try it, I'd encourage you to think about taking your writing process and spreading it out over more time, thinking consciously about the time when your brain is the most fresh, making sure you can get rid of distractions so you can get some writing done, and without having to get any more brilliant or learn any more big words or read a whole lot more articles, your writing will improve drastically if you can change the way you go about doing the writing. This is what it means to believe in teaching writing as a process instead of just assessing the product. And that's something we encourage here in the Writing Center. So give it a shot.